Stan Roy decided to use his knowledge of stepping relays and apply it to his Lionel layout. The result is a sight and sound to behold.
My interest in Lionel trains started, I guess, as most teenagers, with the fascination of electric trains. Of course, I was a little bit unfortunate because I wound up with all the American Flyer trains and all my friends wound up with Lionel. So I just made a decision that when I grew up, if I ever had the time and the money, I was going to try and build what I felt would be the greatest automated Lionel train layout in the world. In terms of size, the model railroad is about 550 square feet. It's a little bit of a misinterpretation because it's on 3 levels, so you probably would have to multiply it by 3. I run about there's about 1,500 pieces of track, and I believe there's about 50 or 60 switches. The continuous operation of the layout, running 27 trains simultaneously, is basically controlled by a series of relays, to be exact about 230 relays, and blocks that are about 10 to 15 feet in length. The way it operates is that the train, as it approaches, grounds one of the outside rails, which energizes a relay. The relay then removes the voltage from, it could be a cross track, it could be a switch track, any train that would be approaching that particular block. Some of the other problems that have arisen, obviously, as you see the trains go, you'll notice that they do not, even though they stop and start, they're all going at a constant speed. And that was achieved by basically changing all of the voltage to direct current. This way we could get regulated power supplies that would not change the voltage, even though the current could change from, or the capabilities of the current draw would change from 1.5 amps to 15 amps. I've always been interested in electronics, and my background comprised of technical school, RCA Institute in New York City, IBM for about 4 years, where I was hired to service computers, unit record equipment, and that's where I developed my skill for relay logic. And I just sort of saw a place to use that logic in, believe it or not, Lionel trains. I have about 52 locomotives on the layout. Of course, 27 run at the same time, and at last count there was about 332 cars. The layout took me, all told, about 10 years to build. I mean, you could actually say that it's still not finished, because anytime I have some people over and if I find a problem, I'll just go downstairs and start tinkering around trying to make it work better. I can almost say that it'll never be finished, and it's just been a series of a lot of time, a lot of fun to try and achieve my goal. When I first started out, I had some problems with trains running into other trains, and the reason that occurred is that we couldn't get real good contact with the train wheels to the track, and the relays, even though I put capacitors on them, would just bounce up and down. You'd get a false trigger, and all of a sudden the train would just start up and hit another train. So the only way that I was able to overcome that is to physically take every wheel off of every train, take it to a plating company, and we came up with the idea of nickel plating them to give better contact. A lot of people think that HO trains are also a lot of fun to work with or play with. I just had a goal in mind when I started out many years ago, and I was just intrigued by Lionel trains, and of course, in order to do the automation that I've achieved, I could not have done it unless I used Lionel trains. My future plans, since I believe I have accomplished my goal, is to share this with a lot of model railroad enthusiasts. I guess a Saturday doesn't go by where people don't come from the neighborhood. I get phone calls 3 or 4 times a week. I get a lot of recognition from newspapers, magazines, and whatever. And what I'd really like to do from now on is just share this layout with everybody else who's interested in this particular hobby.